2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Jordan Reid, ESPN NFL draft analyst, dropped a new mock draft today that has Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback, going 28th to the Arizona Cardinals in a trade up for Arizona to trade back into the first round of the draft. I will make a statement right now. I will be shocked if Ty Simpson drops past the top 15 in the draft. I don't think there's any chance he's going to be available at 28.
Is there one team in particular that you think?
The Rams at 13. I don't understand how a second quarterback, even if it's not a good draft, drops all the way to 28 in 2026. How is that possible? When everyone is so quarterback desperate, we go through all of these teams that need a quarterback. We go through the price tag of how cheap it is in comparison to have a first-round quarterback versus a free agent quarterback. We've sat here today talking about Daniel Jones getting $40-some-odd million a year, and we've talked about, Kyler, who's going to get released, and we said 20 to 25, and Cece said, I don't know that it's going to be that little. And Kyler's been bust maybe strong. He has not lived up to number one overall in the draft, right? So we're talking about guys that have not exceeded expectations, making insane amounts of money versus Ty Simpson, who may or may not be good, but on a more controllable contract. You really think he's going to slip out of the top 15 in this draft?
No.
Trinidad Chambliss would have definitely been in the top 15, I think, if he came out.
No, but the reason why is because that quarterback is the most important position in all the team sports. And usually these guys get pushed up when it comes to the draft, right? And it's because of what you said. The value proposition is there. When the top of the market is making $60 million and you can get a guy on a controllable contract making $7 or $8 million a year, that's huge value.
Worthy risk.
Exactly. And so I think that's where it makes the cost-benefit analysis tilt toward it being teams taking quarterbacks earlier than the talent would actually necessitate based on any other position or any other prospect. I guess my whole point with Ty Simpson is, because you've brought up the Los Angeles Rams in the past, if you're the Rams and you want to maximize the twilight of Matt Stafford's career, can you really afford a luxury pick of Ty Simpson when you could use that first-round pick or those first-round picks on impact players that can help day one?
Okay, so my answer to that question is with the question, because you understand this better than we would. Can you bring in free agents that have a low cap hit this year and a higher cap hit in years to come?
Lower cap hit this year, and yeah.
Okay, so then if I know that Stafford is coming off the books and I'm not re-signing him, I've made that decision, and I know Ty Simpson's going to be my guy in the future, I could arrange contracts that way and bring guys in, restructure guys where it's going to be a low cap hit this year, but a higher cap hit when I'm playing a rookie contract quarterback. So, do I care as much about the first-round pick as if I could get a veteran guy to come in like a Devontae Adams, where it's like, all right, he's here, he's ready to go, and he's going to make $10 an hour this year. But in 2 years, we're going to have a really ugly contract on our hands. But at least we'll have Ty Simpson at $7 million a year, as you said. So that's my counter to that is can you structure contracts that way and forego the draft? That's if you like them, obviously. I don't know that they like them, right? In addition, how many times we've referenced Field Yates, another ESPN NFL draft analyst who's phenomenal and fantasy-focused podcast, say, I'd rather have 26 in this year's draft than 6. Well, what that tells me is the Jets, the Cardinals, the Titans, who don't need a quarterback, are going to think about trading down a little bit. So could other teams jump up that you may say, like, for example, the Rams we mentioned, Tampa at 15, if Ty Simpson's there, that's not a potential attraction to you?
I think that makes a ton of sense.
So how is he going to get – this is not to critique Jordan. This is thank you to Jordan Reid for giving us this. So how is he going to drop all the way to 28 in a hypothetical trade-up with Arizona and Houston – when there is a quarterback?
Leave it to the Jets, by the way, to have the number 2 overall pick in a year where there isn't that second quarterback that everybody wants and that they can't leverage to get more draft capital. Leave it to the Jets.
Wait a second. Is there not a second quarterback because the Jets have the second pick?
Yes. I honestly think that's a part of the math. Dante Moore was flirting with the idea of coming out in this class and decided that he was going to go back to Oregon. Now, you could see during the playoff that he needed a little more seasoning.
Yes.
There was
a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
some of the ball handling, the turnover-worthy plays, like that's got to get cleaned up. But like Dante Moore, from a talent standpoint, would be worthy of the second overall pick in any draft. Sure. I do think that the Jets having the track record that they've had, and then Sam Darnold doing what he did this year makes it a situation where the New York Jets don't get the benefit of the doubt, even though the names are different.
Yeah. I just don't believe, again, nothing to do with Jordan. Jordan's phenomenal at this. I just don't believe a second quarterback is going to drop past 15 when I could logically slot him multiple places. And I believe teams are going to be willing to trade down, which means good teams may trade up and say, I'll give you another one. You, Cece, said, well, if I'm Detroit, I'm thinking about maybe is there a world where I move on from Goff and sign Malik Willis, right? Okay. So here's your way of moving on from Goff. Not now, but later. I like Ty Simpson. Stash him for a year or two.
Draft a quarterback when you want one, not when you need one.
I've heard that before. Twice. ESPN.com, QB rules. I just don't buy it at all that he's going to drop past. Maybe.
Well, here's the thing: we've had drafts where only one quarterback goes in the first round. Like the Kenny Pickett draft, he was the only quarterback to go in the first round, right? Like I think that Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis went later in that draft, but like we've had drafts where teams don't necessarily see the value based on the talent level of what's available beyond the first quarterback off the board. And I think that this could be one of those years, especially with the way that Ty Simpson struggled down the stretch.
I also think Ty Simpson has received a huge boost in this regard because Dan Orlovsky and other great analysts have said for the first 8 or 9 games, Simpson's tape looks better than Mendoza. They have not said they would draft Simpson over Mendoza. They did not say that Simpson was better than Mendoza. But that being in the conversation of, let me go back and see what Dan's talking about, because Dan knows this stuff, makes it seem like maybe it's a little bit closer than we initially realized. And I will continue to say, after what I saw from Trinidad Chambliss in that college football playoff, if that young man decided to come out, I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't have been drafted in the top.
Can I ask you a question? If Ty Simpson ends up, his pro comparison, or the guy whose production he matches ends up being Kirk Cousins, is that a top half of the first round pick for you?
Yes. Because of everything you guys just said in the previous segment, go back on the podcast and listen. Because you said it's about the roster around them and the quarterback complimenting him, because we don't have all these quarterbacks today that are going to drag nobodies, so to speak, to a Super Bowl title. So if you can get Kirk Cousins with a loaded roster based on what we saw a year ago with Sam Darnold, you have a chance. No, at some point, Shedeur is going to replace you. If you want to sign here, we would love to have you, and we'd love for you to mentor him, and we'd love for you to be a part of this organization even beyond this, but this is going to be Shedeur's team. Okay. I don't believe I was wrong about what I said.
They won the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl.
The Raiders did not win the Super Bowl.
Sam Darnold did, though.
Sam Darnold did.
Okay. Would he have won the Super Bowl with the Raiders?
But hold on, Ev, don't do that. Don't do. You said Sam Darnold at no point he would. A couple things there. Like, let's start with the first part of it. One, you're talking about his prime is going to be the same as as Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Which yesterday, when I said, I think off air, like, if you're the Raiders,
Herbert.
But if you're the Raiders, you move why? You're going to have to deal with that with Fernando Mendoza. He's going to, quote unquote, his prime is going to be in the same prime as like 3 of those guys.
Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes.
So he said the Jets should line him up with Drake May and Josh Allen.
But right, so like there's that part.
You got a better chance there.
Yes, right. There's that, and also he was better than both those guys last year. Sam Darnold was better than Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert.
And zero chance he would have been with the Raiders.
I mean, that's a hypothetical that we can never prove.
Well, then we shouldn't talk about this. How am I supposed to defend it then?
Well, you can't. That's the point. We're like this is everybody dunking on you for making a bad take about Sam Darnold.
But I don't believe that was the wrong take at all.
Well,
he would not have been good with the Raiders.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah,
The Raiders thought that Geno Smith was a better option at quarterback than Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
They were proven wrong. Period.
Well, let me ask you a question.
2024's